Chiefs Kingdom, stop scrolling right now. Arrowhead just erupted with breaking news, and one shocking number is already on the table. 12 penalties in a single preseason clash. Eric Bieniemy just exploded on the practice field, a massive first-round draft gamble was completely avoided, and Andy Reid dropped an absolute hammer on locker room discipline. Insiders warned us that Kansas City was reaching a boiling point, and here is your first direct payoff. Bieniemy's explosive confrontation with Rashee Rice was entirely caught on tape during team drills. If you bleed red and gold more than you hate the Raiders, hit like and subscribe right now. We start with the explosive training camp eruption that has Arrowhead shaking. The whistle echoed across the grass, but what followed immediately after was pure sideline thunder. Is the championship standard finally being restored, or are tempers starting to boil over in August? The name, Rashee Rice, and the man screaming right in his face was returning offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Kansas City hit its 15th padded practice of training camp on Monday with an unmistakable edge in the air. The intense workout followed a sloppy 20-12 preseason loss to the Los Angeles Rams, a game where Andy Reid was far more disgusted with his team's mental discipline than the final scoreboard. Kansas City got flagged 12 times in that matchup, with almost every single infraction stalling the offense. Reid made it crystal clear to reporters that 5 holding calls and 5 illegal procedure flags were entirely unacceptable, promising that the coaching staff would hammer discipline into every single rep moving forward. That no-nonsense message carried straight onto the practice field on Monday morning, and Eric Bieniemy was not in a forgiving mood with the starting unit. During a 7-on-7 period, Rashee Rice caught a pass over the middle and began casually jogging back toward the huddle as if the play had ended. Bieniemy exploded instantly. He barked furiously, telling someone to shut the expletive up and demanding Rice finish every single rep through the whistle. Within seconds, Rice spun around and sprinted downfield at full speed to finish the play the right way. Chiefs content creator Ron Kopp Jr. caught the entire volatile exchange on camera, giving fans an unvarnished look at the pressure building inside this offense. This fiery, in-your-face coaching is vintage Eric Bieniemy. Back in the 11th practice of camp, Bieniemy was already setting a ruthless tone before the first ball was even snapped. He screamed at his unit to get out of the huddle loud enough for fans in the top bleachers to hear. And during a 9-on-7 run period, he called out body language, yelling at linemen to get their hands off their hips. His standard for red zone execution was just as direct. Absolute perfection on every single down. In his first season back calling plays as offensive coordinator, he brings the exact brand of uncompromising accountability this franchise rode to multiple Super Bowls. He was not alone in turning up the heat either. On adjacent fields, first-year wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea was heard relentlessly demanding precision, halting routes on air to force his receivers to run them again with flawless detail. Between Bieniemy and O'Shea, the message is obvious. No starting job or past accolade is safe if the execution slips. This level of relentless pressure is precisely what transforms a talented receiver into a true superstar. When an offensive coordinator refuses to let even a walk-through rep slide, the entire locker room receives a loud wake-up call. Kansas City's offense cannot afford mental lapses, and Bieniemy is determined to eliminate every ounce of complacency before the lights turn on for Week 1. The energy surrounding this camp proves that every yard must be earned with blood and sweat. In a conference loaded with explosive young offenses, the Chiefs cannot coast on reputation alone. Bieniemy knows that championship habits are built when nobody is cheering, under the scorching summer heat where exhaustion tests mental toughness. Rice has all the physical tools to dominate, but mastering the intricate details of this offense requires total dedication on every down. When the play caller demands perfection, it sets a standard that trickles down to every rookie and veteran in the room. If this offense wants to dictate terms to opposing coordinators come autumn, these heated practice moments are not just necessary, they are essential. How do you feel about Bieniemy getting in Rashee Rice's face like that? Does this hard-nosed coaching elevate Kansas City back to elite offensive heights, or does it risk alienating young stars? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you respect a coach who holds players accountable to a championship standard, smash that like button right now. But as fiery as things got between coaches and players on the practice field, the front office is celebrating an absolute masterclass of draft foresight that completely saved the franchise from disaster. A file sat on the front office desk for months throughout the pre-draft process, presenting a tantalizing blend of elite tape and terrifying medical records. The fanbase was clamoring for a true #1 wide receiver, but Brett Veach refused to take the bait. The name everyone was debating in the draft room? Jordan Tyson. And breaking news just validated Kansas City's decision in the most dramatic way possible. NFL insider Ian Rappaport broke the story that Jordan Tyson, selected 8th overall by the New Orleans Saints, is expected to miss roughly 2 months of his rookie campaign due to a severe hamstring injury. Kansas City originally owned the 9th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, sitting right in prime position to take Tyson after years of an efficient yet uninspired passing offense. Mock drafts linked Tyson and pass rusher Ruben Bain to Kansas City for months, and GM Brett Veach was openly hunting for a catalytic playmaker with the highest pick of his tenure. Veach eventually executed a trade-up over the Saints, but instead of chasing offensive flash, he drafted lockdown LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. That left Tyson on the board for New Orleans at number 8, and the Saints willingly ignored the massive red flags. Tyson possessed the rare ability to separate at an elite level, but his collegiate medical file read like a medical textbook. He suffered torn ligaments in his left knee that wiped out the end of the 2022 season and almost the entirety of 2023. That devastating knee trauma was followed by a broken collarbone and persistent hamstring issues, limiting him to just 33 total games across 4 collegiate seasons at Colorado and Arizona State. A nagging hamstring even restricted his pre-draft athletic testing, making a top 10 investment an enormous organizational gamble. Now, before he could even suit up for week 1 of the regular season, that same hamstring gave out, sidelining him for the next 8 weeks in New Orleans. Kansas City's patient, risk-averse draft strategy paid off on multiple levels. Not only did they lock down a potential franchise cornerback in Delane, but they also waited until the 5th round to grab Cincinnati wideout Cyrus Allen at pick 176, a selection that already looks like an absolute steal throughout training camp. Veach refused to gamble first-round capital on an injury-prone receiver, preserving Kansas City's championship window while New Orleans deals with an immediate roster crisis. When you evaluate the longevity of a dynasty, the moves you choose not to make are often just as impactful as the blockbuster signings. Passing on Tyson protected Kansas City from wasting valuable cap resources and high draft capital on a player who cannot stay on the field. Instead, the secondary gets a premier shutdown piece, while the offense uncovers a hidden gem in Allen later in the draft. It is a textbook masterclass in roster building that keeps the Chiefs miles ahead of their competitors. Championship organizations do not gamble their top assets on medical question marks when the objective is sustained dominance. By prioritizing structural depth and defensive longevity, Veach demonstrated why Kansas City consistently outsmarts front offices that chase short-term hype. The Saints are now left scrambling to rebuild their offensive scheme without their top draft pick, while the Chiefs move forward with unmatched roster flexibility and a fortified secondary ready to shut down elite aerial attacks. Did Brett Veach pull off the smartest move of the draft by passing on Jordan Tyson? Drop your draft grade for Kansas City in the comments below. If you trust Brett Veach to keep this dynasty loaded with elite talent, hit that like button right now. But while the front office dodged a bullet, head coach Andy Reid stepped to the podium to address a systemic problem that could tear this entire season apart if it is not fixed immediately. The post-game press conference room grew completely silent as the head coach stepped behind the microphone on Monday afternoon. The questions were not about scheme, play calls, or physical conditioning, but about an alarming lack of basic on-field discipline. The coach delivering the stern message? Andy Reid. And his words served as an unmistakable warning shot aimed directly at the entire offense. Kansas City's 20-12 loss to the Rams featured plenty of individual bright spots, but every positive was completely overshadowed by 12 costly penalties. Rookie running back Emmett Johnson showed incredible burst with 59 rushing yards on 12 carries. Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier looked sharp by completing 13 of 19 passes for 98 yards, and safety Jaden Hicks racked up 7 physical tackles. Harrison Butker was automatic as well, nailing all 4 of his field goal attempts, including a 59-yard bomb. Yet, 10 of the team's 12 penalties came from the backup units, repeatedly putting the offense in impossible down and distance situations. Multiple productive drives and an explosive touchdown run by Johnson were completely wiped off the board due to holding and illegal procedure flags. Reid addressed the media with noticeable frustration, pointing directly at the offensive line for consistently overshooting blocks and failing to let go of defenders in the trenches. Reid emphasized that linemen must recognize when a block is lost rather than turning a normal play into a drive-killing holding penalty. This lack of discipline represents a concerning trend that has slowly infected Kansas City over the past 12 months. In 2025, the Chiefs were hit with 119 penalties, a massive spike from 94 infractions the previous year. Averaging 7 penalties per game, Kansas City finished as the 7th most penalized squad in the entire league. A sharp and dangerous decline from 2024 when they ranked 4th fewest in penalties across the NFL. Now, the Chiefs must travel to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Saturday night before hosting the Seattle Seahawks on August 28th leading straight into a massive Week 1 divisional showdown against the Denver Broncos at Arrowhead Stadium on September 14th. Cleaning up these unforced errors is paramount because championship-caliber teams do not beat themselves. When offensive linemen commit holding penalties, they kill entire possessions and waste stellar defensive performances. REID understands that if this penalty bug is not eradicated in August, it will cost Kansas City critical divisional victories come September. The clock is ticking, and the starters must set the standard immediately. Every single yard surrendered to the referee's whistle gives opposing defenses life and puts needless strain on special teams. Championship football is defined by precision, and Andy Reid has never tolerated a roster that continuously sabotages its own momentum. With the regular season right around the corner, these upcoming joint sessions and exhibition snaps will serve as an ultimatum for every lineman on the bubble. Either they play clean football or they will watch from the sideline. Can Andy Reid and his staff clean up these drive-killing penalties before the season opener against Denver? What is your realistic score prediction for that divisional clash? Let me know in the comments. 3 massive storylines tell the exact story of where Kansas City stands right now. Bieniemy's explosive return restores the fiery edge this offense desperately missed. Veach's brilliant draft discipline saves the franchise from a devastating top 10 injury trap, and Andy Reid draws a hard line against sloppy penalties before Week 1 kicks off. Chiefs Kingdom does not accept mediocrity, we demand championships. If you believe this team is headed straight back to the Super Bowl, hit that like button, leave your comment below with your boldest regular season prediction, and subscribe so we can dominate the AFC West all year long. But stay on high alert, because here is your double cliffhanger. Team insiders report that Reid is preparing to bench 2 starting offensive linemen for the upcoming Tampa Bay game if mental mistakes continue in practice. While division rival Denver Broncos are reportedly finalizing an aggressive trade proposal for a veteran pass rusher specifically to attack Kansas City's offensive line weaknesses. That explosive update drops next, so stay locked to the channel.